Alright, so we are going to start out doing dynamic simulations. And the first thing that we're going to do is just a little bouncing ball. So I'm going to just go to my polygon tab and create a polygon plane. I'll scale it up. And then I am going to turn down the subdivisions because we don't need all that. We really just need a plane. So I'll just put one subdivision for the width and the height. And then I'm going to make a sphere. So just a polygon sphere. You could use a NURB sphere if you want to. It doesn't really matter. But I'll lift this up. And these are going to be my two objects to practice this simulation. So this is going to be a rigid body simulation. This is going to be our active rigid body, and this floor is going to be our passive rigid body. I'm going to turn the grid off so it's easier to see. So that's just what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up here to the animation menu set, go down to dynamics, select this floor, go up to soft/rigid bodies, and create a passive rigid body. You can see now that there's yellow over here in the channel box, which means that it's got some kind of dynamic properties plugged into all of those attributes. And then for this one, I'm going to make it active just the same way, soft and rigid bodies, create active rigid body. Now if I hit 4, you can see tiny little brown X's inside each of these. It's a little bit tricky to see this ball. And if you zoom in, they don't get bigger, so it does not really that. You just get better space. And there's the active rigid body node right there for the ball. So those are sort of indicators that these are rigid bodies now and not regular geometry. So all I have to do now at this point to make this bounce is select this ball, go up to Fields, Gravity, and now there's a little thing that'll come up here. It kind of doesn't really matter where this goes because it just pulls things down. You can change that in the attribute editor a little bit. But basically this is just going to pull it down to the ground. So if I play this, it's just going to fall. And if I give it some more time, let's say I give it 10 seconds. It's just going to bounce and then bounce to a stop. And probably we really only needed to give it about 6 seconds or 5 or 6. So let's go with 130 for our frames. And there it is. That's your bouncing ball. Now there's a couple of things that you need to do first. Always when you're doing dynamic simulations, you want to go ahead and bake the simulation and get rid of your rigid body nodes because those take a long time to calculate with Maya. And then especially if you get textures and ray tracing and blah, blah, blah. So what you can do is, it's called baking, and it just takes all of this movement that we've calculated. The other thing that you want to be careful of is to not scrub back and forth, because that will make it just not act right at all. You have to, whenever you're doing dynamics or particles, you got to start from the beginning because it evaluates from the beginning. But it sort of calculates the movement for every frame from the beginning all the way through. So, but we can record that movement into the keyframes, and that's what baking is about. So you can just select the ball and the floor, go up to Edit, go to Keys, Bake Simulation, and that will run through your simulation. And now you see you have keyframes all the way along here on both of these objects, which means that you could go in, select your rigid body nodes, and delete them, and all that movement is still there. It's still going to be there. So let me go ahead and get in here too and get this one out of the ball. And now you have this bouncing ball that plays. It doesn't have to figure it out all the way through for every frame. You can just play it and it's going to work. And then you can also scrub back and forth and it'll be fine because it's all recorded into the frames. You can get rid of that gravity field because you don't need that anymore because you've baked that into the frames as well. And there's your bouncing ball. Go ahead and do a play blast. And you want to go here where it says save to file and turn that on, and you can save this play blast and turn it in. So I'm just going to say I'm going to save it to the movies folder in my Dynamics project, and I'm just going to call it bouncing ball, rigid body bouncing ball. That's probably better. Or just rigid body ball. That's good enough. Save that in there, and then run your Play Blast. And then your Play Blast will play for you as soon as it opens up. It sometimes will play a little bit slower, but play through it a couple times and it'll be fine. And then that's what you'll turn in. Thanks.